Become a better man. My name is Tunde Disu. Thank you so much for being part of today's program. It's I'm excited. I'm excited because tonight's program is special. Tonight's guest is very, very special. Tonight on this program, the guest we have tonight is my daughter, Ife Disu. And the reason Ife is our guest tonight is because he has a story to tell. He has a story to tell which is in line with the uh, series that we're running, which is Women Empowerment Series. Women Empowerment Series, we have been working on this for some time. Well, this is the third week. The first week was fine. Last week, we couldn't get it done, but we are going to be able to run it today because now I have Ife waiting in the green room, and we'll be bringing her on in a short while. But let me just tell you briefly about why this is important. Ife, can you turn down your volume, please? I think it's echoing. It's echoing back on me. Thank you. The reason this is important is because the world will not become fully what it is meant to be or achieve its fullness, or those of us in the world, we will continue to miss out on the potentials that we have until women are empowered, they are allowed, they are encouraged, they are strengthened and given the opportunity to become all that they could be. Because at the end of the day, uh, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, the effect of women on the world is phenomenal. In fact, it is, in my opinion, very important. And so this month we're going to try, and all we're trying to do is to add our voice and our platform to the ongoing need for women to be empowered. There's a lot of noise going on. Is it from me or from you? I think it's from me. The microphone is very active. So speaking of my hand on the table. So let me stop rambling. Let's bring Ife on. Now, Ife Oluwa, this is my daughter, like I said. She's currently in her final year at uh, Surrey University, and she has done something phenomenal. She has done something amazing. She has written her first novel. I know when you hear first novel, you're thinking, what do you mean first novel? Because I know she's got about three or four others in the pipeline. But I've said, no, finish your degree, please. Not that the writing is affecting or restricting her education. In fact, it has helped her a lot along that line. But again, one thing at a time. But Ife has written her first novel, and it's taken some years for her to be happy with the product and publish it, which is now available on Amazon, both in Kindle and in paperback format. So I'm going to bring Ife on now so that she can tell us a few bit about her her work. Where's the button? Oh, come on. Uh, wait. Okay, there we go. Hello, this is Ife.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, hi, my guests. You're welcome. You're so welcome on this platform. Thank you for the joy that you have been to us as a family from the very first day. She's always had a way of knocking me off my feet, even even from the very first day. I remember when Ife was born, and I had an experience that day.
You
Uh,
fainted. That's what happened.
Excuse me, I'm a strong man. No, actually, I fainted in the labor room, and thank God, I was brought back to life. But Ife has had this effect of just doing wonders and just breaking barriers, and she has grown up to become a very strong woman, a very focused woman, and she has set her sight on greater things. I'm so proud as a father. I'm so honored today that I can see the fruit of some of the targets that she set for herself, some of the things she wanted to achieve in life, and they are becoming reality right in front of her, of all of us. So, Miss Ifeoluwa Disu, you are welcome to become a better man.
Thank
As
you
I
for
said
that.
earlier on, you're welcome. You've written your first novel. But before we get into the novel, do you want to tell us who is Ife? Especially for those of us who don't know you, never met you, who is Ifeoluwa Disu?
Okay. First of all, hi everyone. My name is Ife. I'm 20 years old and I'm currently in my final year studying business management. Um, how would I describe myself? I would describe myself to be someone who has a gift of imagination and someone who can see things that may not be as um so I can like see things that others may not see like when they see something. So for instance, my imagination, like I said, is just so vast. I can come up with stories like just as easy as breathing. Music inspires me a lot. Art inspires me a lot. Just being alive really inspires me so much. And um, it's really literally made me who I am. So I do, obviously, I write books and I also write poetry. I sing. I've been singing for as long as I've been breathing, I guess. I enjoy art and music and drawing and just living in this creative world that is my mind. So, yeah, that's how I would describe myself, I think.
Okay. And in, you said in your introduction that you are very imaginative, and that's where you really draw your inspiration from.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Because sometimes people think uh, some people call it daydreaming, when you allow your mind to travel, to explore, to find means of reaching the world that is outside of your immediate contact. How, tell us briefly about what that is. How did you develop it? How did you start it? And all of that.
Okay, so when I say I have a wide imagination, you could call it daydreaming, and I know there's a whole stigma around daydreaming being like um, an activity for the idle. So it's something you do when you have nothing better to do, when you're not focusing on the more important things in life. But I
Yeah.
think it's important that everyone, even if it's just for a couple of minutes a day, just take time to separate yourself from any bigger task per se that you may be working on and just be present in the moment. That's one of the big things about daydreaming. I think everyone could like take on. It can be seen as a form of meditation. It can just be seen as a form of just appreciating being alive, really. For me, I have my imagination, I think, has always been there. I don't, well, it's just been always there. Like, I remember being a kid and um, on playtimes in primary school, I would always, I mean, I had friends, I wasn't a complete loner, but I would spend most of my time just alone, just thinking and imagining magic and different worlds and different characters and creatures and stuff. And like, I guess I've always had the mentality of, but what happens next? Or like, what else could there be? I've always had a very inquisitive mind for that kind of thing. So it's a very natural thing for me in that regard that I'm just able to look at something and be able to ask questions that may lead to a wider inspiration for a book or a poem or a short story or something. So a lot of my childhood was born out of that. And also growing up in a very musical family, bar dad, sorry. but,
Yeah,
but
what do you mean,
I mean,
You you got it from me.
yeah, but like our house has always been full of music. We've always been involved in, we were always, every time we were involved in the church, it was through choir because mum would sing and then we all came up through that. And everything in our house was very creatively inspired. I remember being very, very young and sitting on my mum's lap and watching her do her graphic design in her office. I remember so many instances when whether it was at church or I was in class or we were just at home listening to like worship songs, that environment really allowed me to grow in that aspect. I'm very blessed with the family that I have, that we're all very inspired in one way or another to be more than we were, regardless of our situation. So that helped a lot. And from that, and from growing as a wild kid, my imagination just took off from there. So.
Excellent. But would you say you're, like you rightly said, you're from a loving family, a Christian home? Would you say your faith or your spirituality, your connection with God played a major role or major part in your upbringing, in your development, and in your ability to just open up your mind and see things that are not obvious to the naked eyes?
Yeah, it played a very big part of my life growing up and my life continuing now. Um, my family is a Christian family, and me and my siblings were literally born into church. We've been in church from the very beginning. And like I said before, because we were so involved, and we were taught in main church and then in children's church that God created everything and he is a force of creativity and creation and development. And
Mm,
just the fact that he has the power to create such a vast and incomprehensible universe, just it forces you to wonder and to imagine what else is out there. Because I mean, with science, we've like reached galaxies, but the universe goes on forever. So, and if God was able to make all that and we're made in his image, then why not? Why can't we also use our own strength to create and be more than this current state is? Because there is more, there has to be. And even if people don't believe in God, just like to look at the night sky and just try and understand that that goes on for infinity and then infinity beyond that. It it makes this finite time on Earth something that you can't just settle with. There has to be more. So in that sense, yes, my faith and the environment I grew up with encouraged me to be more than I was because I was taught I was made by someone who is eternal and infinite and all powerful in every aspect. So
Excellent. Right. Let's go back to the topic for the day, which is to talk about your novel. What is it called again?
I will show you. It's
Okay.
called Once Lost Always.
Once lost, always.
Yeah.
Okay. How long has it taken you to come to a point where you feel, yes, I'm happy now to publish this? How long did it take you? 3 months, maybe six, a year?
I I got the first inspiration for the story with when I was listening to a song back in 2014. I wrote,
2014.
yeah, I wrote the first draft of the novel in 2015, and I've been working on it ever since. And I only like a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, I was like, okay, this is done. And yeah, so it's been about 4 years, give or take.
Almost 5 years.
Yeah,
Wow. So I remember that the first edition that you got a sample of, if I may
yeah,
show what it used to look like. Where's my camera?
yeah. That was the
And this
first,
was what?
yeah,
2015, 20,
2015
it was in 2015. Now I can see a lot of red and
post-it notes. Yeah.
pink and yellow post-it note. What were those for?
Well, when I wrote the first draft of the story, it was a lot smaller than it is now. Um, I think the first draft was around 63,000 words, thereabouts. And the reason why that copy has loads of post-it notes in it
Yeah.
was I knew I had the bare bones of the story written down, and I knew that the basics of the story I had complete, and all I had to do was expand on that and make the world and the characters and the themes of them alive. So the reason why the post-it notes are all in that copy is because I was using that copy to see what else needed to be in the story for it to be full and complete. Because the story in itself was fine, but it wasn't anything spectacular. So I had to add to it. I had to revisit it. I had to rewrite some parts, take some parts out, and edit and edit and edit for about 3 or so years. And
And then
then,
we came to that. Where's my
yeah,
camera?
this is the second proof copy I got in 2017. That
Wow.
version is closer to the final one than the first one was. I don't remember how many words that one was. I think it was like 150,000 words ish. Um, the story was fuller. It had a lot more depth. It had more dimension to the characters. The world was more full with detail and aspects and sides to it, I guess. But there was still something not there that I couldn't understand at the time. So, and I remember in 2017, um, that was around my final year in sixth form or so. So I was preparing to go to uni and there was a lot of things going on. So after that one was written, well, I got that copy, I left it for a while because I needed the space. Because if I kept trying to go back to it constantly, because I'd seen it so often, my eyes wouldn't be sharp to find any problems or things I had to adjust in it. So that that's that one. And then this is the final one that is, so see that it's thick. It's thick. This one is at about 163,000 words. So it's about 100,000 words longer than the first one. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Hello again.
I thought, what happened? You just ran on me or something. All right, please go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I was just saying that the second copy was the in between, and I left it for a while because I knew that my eyes would be dull to find like errors and things I need to change in the story and things that were wrong with the plot and the structure and everything. So I left it for a while, a couple months, I think, and then 2018, I started going back over it from the very beginning, and
Okay.
yeah, and then now I'm at this copy now, which is out.
So, once lost, always. What is it about?
The story is a fantasy reimagining of the story of Peter Pan, originally written by J.M. Barrie in 1908, I think. Um, it takes the world and the characters of Peter Pan and puts them in a new spin that talks about mainly about family, about believing in yourself, about love, about trust, and about like what you have to do to grow to achieve your destiny and accomplish your dreams, basically.
So, in that case, how is that related to you as a person? Because uh, I've written two books myself, and even before I wrote my own books, one of the things I've heard and I've seen and I've learned is every book is a reflection of the author in terms of their life experience, their exposure, their background, but more than that, what they are processing, what that particular author is processing through his or her life at that particular time. So when
Mm.
you some books, when you read it, especially if you know the author before you read their book, when you are reading the book, you almost can hear their voice in your head. So
Mm.
how would you say this book relates to you as a person?
Okay. When I wrote the first draft of the book back in 2015, my main reason why I wanted to write it was to find it was a form of escape for me because I've like I said before, I've always had a big imagination. And then when I was in primary school, I was introduced to storytelling and writing books. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And that was my comfort and my safe haven for my whole childhood and the beginning of my teen years. And then when I was in secondary school, I found more books by different authors. And I was like, I want to do this too. But I wanted to write a story that I could see myself in. So, what you said about the book being a reflection of the author is very true in this aspect. For me, it was an escape and a way for me to live through a character in a world that I could imagine as vividly as I could live in real life. So when I first wrote the book, that was my goal. But now my the reason why I wrote it, I think, is because I the characters resonated with me very deeply. Like, for instance, the main character, Ebony Rose, she has just like okay, so at the beginning of the story, she accomplishes a challenge that allows her to become a warrior for her tribe on Neverland, which means she will be responsible for looking after her family and protecting them for any dangers that may come about. I there's a lot of myself that is in her because I also have a very big heart for protecting people, and I also have, like her, I have dreams that I have longed to achieve and accomplish, but due to certain things, it might be more difficult to just like go out and chase them immediately. So through that, I was able to put in the struggle of growing up whilst keeping your inner child alive. And that's part of why the book like really comes from my heart because I, I still have the heart of a child. I'm still like I don't really want to grow up yet, but with
What
the
are you
way
running from responsibilities?
no, well per se, but it's also just like I want to keep that spark of childhood freedom alive in me for as long as possible, and the pressures of being forced to grow up, and then also especially in Neverland, because the whole lure of Neverland is that you go there as a kid and you never have to grow up. So that dichotomy is one of the big challenges that Ebony faces in the story, and that I think everyone faces in their own lives, where they have to grow up fast. And once you graduate university, you're thrust into a job and you have to be an adult very quickly. So that dimension of it is what I wanted to relate to. That it's not it's not you don't have to lose your childhood enthusiasm completely when you grow up. You can still keep both aspects of it and still enjoy your life. So yeah.
Great. I noticed that you used the word escape 2 or 3 times. What exactly is what were you trying to escape from, or I'm just wondering why the word escape seems to be being repeated in the description of how you developed your mind, your sense, your ability to imagine and travel. But you've said escape, escape.
Mm.
What's the story behind that?
Well, when I was younger, I was a bit of a loner. I had friends, but I would often find myself hanging out by myself a lot more and just enjoying my own company. Um, and then I guess at school there was, I mean, the with kids it's all about like being the popular kid in school and being liked by everyone and just being like the favorite person by everyone, I guess. And as a child and a young girl, I was very insecure about being liked by the people around me. I took it very personally when like what people said to me, and I found myself trying to please everyone a lot. So but because of that, I my self-esteem was very bad, and for a while it took me a while to grow my confidence in myself. And because I felt like it was a constant battle for me to please everyone I meet, whether it be friends, whether it be peers, whether it be people at church, whether it be family or etc. I never found myself able to rest, and the only place I could feel like I was truly myself was when I was imagining that I was in another world with magic and wonder and all sorts of wonderful creatures, and or if I was reading a book and I could escape into the story that the author had written. I was at peace with who I was most when I was in those places. So that's why I say it was an escape for me, because it was the only place, my mind was the only place where I felt like I didn't have to prove myself to anyone. I didn't have to force myself to change who I was so other people could be happy with me. So, yeah, that's what I mean by when I say writing and imagination was, and in some aspects continues to be, an escape for me.
That's interesting because, like you said, everybody goes through this stage of trying to establish yourself, trying to find yourself, trying to to be accepted because it's a natural human, one of the human needs to feel accepted, to feel part of, to feel belonging. But more importantly, as a young girl, as a young lady, as a woman, that pressure can sometimes be even multiplied by to a greater degree. So,
Mm.
would you therefore say, one, the ability to travel in your mind and visit those never ending land and your imaginary friends and all of that? Because I remember in those days when you were little, if I could sit in a corner by herself and play four different voices just to create a play that she'll be enjoying it by herself. And I've always wondered, how do you do that? You will be this, and then that one will interact with this, and this one will interact with that, and you'll be changing your voices to suit each of those characters. Uh, so, would you therefore say that ability to visit your mind and travel in your mind added to the exposure, like you said, to literature and
Yeah,
storytelling, which obviously culminated in this novel that you've published? Would you say that is a form of empowerment for you as a woman?
yeah, I believe that even outside of the context of my own imagination, everyone has something that brings them complete fulfillment and complete joy. I think it's the one thing that helps you answer the question, what would you do if you could do this one thing for the rest of your life? That's what imagination and books and stories is for me. In terms of empowering myself, I think it did play a big part in the development of my confidence because I was like you said, like I said before, because I felt like there was so much pressure from the environment around me to be a certain way to achieve a certain grade, whether it's in sixth form, because sixth form was just it as well.
Wonderful.
But because there was all that pressure, I was like, okay, the one thing I love and that I'm good at is writing stories and imagining stories. So I held on to that for dear life. And I used that determination to keep that part of me sacred as a form of self development. This writing this book has really been a journey for me. Um, it's it's not been easy. It's I'm not going to say that the process of it was like completely fine. I mean, it took me almost 5 years to write it for a reason, but it's definitely taken me in my highs and lows, but it was always something I could come back to and feel safe in. And holding on to that and pouring into that constantly did help my belief in myself and belief in my own abilities and what I could do and confidence in who I was as my own person, not based on what anyone else told me that I should be or what society expects me to be. Um, I found who I was in the thing that I was born to do and to be and to have. And I think everyone has that. It's not just um, fulfillment in life, I don't think just comes from um, finding something that gives you a lot of money and blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong with money. We all like money. I'm not going to deny that. But everyone has that one thing, no matter how vast or obscure it could be, that gives them complete fulfillment. And once you find that and tap into that and pour into that and invest into it and use it as your compass in life, you will be completely fulfilled. And even with this novel, there are things, there's part of my brain that's still like the perfectionist in me that like, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. But I'm like, I achieved my dream. My dream from the beginning was to be an author and write a book. And I did that because I held on to the one thing that brought me joy. So now I'm confident that I can do it again and I can do it as many times as I want to because I've already done it once. And I didn't drop on my dream just because I thought that I wasn't good enough, per se.
Okay. Now, we all belong to one family or another. We're all part of a family somewhere.
Mm.
What would you say has been the support, not just in writing this book, but in your whole person? What would you say about the support that you've enjoyed from your family, number one, and then your close friends? And how has that helped you or hindered you in this exercise?
Um, I'd say the initial support came from my family most of all. So thank you. Um,
All right,
uh,
definitely.
um, like I said earlier, my family's always been very creative and very forward thinking with everything that we do. No matter what situation we were in, no matter what was happening around us, we always stuck together and stuck by one another. And that was through encouraging us to do our best, encouraging us to do more than we thought we could, encouraging each other in prayer and in faith and in belief in each other. And that environment really allowed me to believe that I could do this. And I remember, um, like so many times, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna write a book," and I'd be like, "Okay, just work on it." And it would always be that supportive environment where they were like, "It's gonna take time and it will take hard work, but if you commit yourself to it, you can do it." And that's always been the attitude I think in our household, spoken or unspoken. My friends, I have, I've this journey has honestly brought me some of the most amazing friends. Um, my friends in sixth form are just the most wonderful people, and they were very, they're just brilliant. They're just so diverse and so many different ways of thinking and different ways of life that and because there was no expectation to be one way, but because we were all so different in our personalities, in our beliefs, in the way we carried ourselves and such, that I just felt like I could be free with them. So that 2 year six one period with my friends from Dartford Grammar really let me be loose for the first time in my life. And then in the past 2 years, while I was finishing up this book, I connected with three wonderful, wonderful people on Instagram who are also authors in their own right. And with when I say without them, this book would not exist, I mean without them, this book would not exist. They Every time I would be like, guys, I'm gonna give up. It's over. I don't care anymore. They'd be like, Fa, just breathe. It's all right. We've all been there. So and I think because we all had more or less the same experience, we were able to support each other because we understood each other. And with them, for the first time in my life, I was like, I have someone I can talk about my book problems with and they get it. And I'd never had that before. So this book is honestly not just my born of my skill, it's born of everyone I've ever known in my entire life. Like without my year 5 or 6 English teacher, I wouldn't know that I wanted to write books. Without my sixth form friends, I wouldn't be able to be free and be myself for the first time. And without my internet writing friends, I wouldn't have pushed through to the end and seen it to finish. And without my family, I wouldn't even begin to dream anything outside of what life presently was. So it's really born of everything that I have been, that I am, and yeah. So
Wonderful. So you gave us a you gave us an introduction of what the book is all about. Do you want to tell us more about the book, please? Can you
uh,
tell us? Maybe you want to read something. One of the things I find, and I've said this to you before, one of the things I really enjoy about your literary work is your ability to use words.
mm,
My vocabulary is quite limited, and the way to add them together, pull them together and structure them, I'm still believing for the miracle. But when I read some of your words and I listen to some of your poetry, and I'm just thinking, how, how did she, how did that come together? So you want to tell us about the book? Maybe you want to read a page or half a page or something. I just want people to get a feel of not just what the book is about. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the book is now available on Amazon, both in Kindle format and in paperback format. Please patronize Ife. Let us support this work. We've heard everything she's been saying, but at the end of the day, it is not just about her writing, it's about somebody reading what she has written. And that the content of the book adding value to those people who are going to read it. So please patronize the book. It's available in Kindle and in paperback format. And please, if you, when you buy it and you've read it or you are halfway through, go back to Amazon and leave a comment, leave a feedback, leave a review of what you think or how the book has impacted you, or any lessons you've learned from the book. That will really help along the way. But if tell us about the book or read something. I just want people to have a feel of how, or you want me to now?
I've got it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll read the synopsis and then I'll read a short passage from chapter 13 that I think encapsulates the core theme of the story very, very well, which is
Okay.
weird complimenting myself, but you know. Okay, so here's the synopsis that's on the back. Two arrows, one mission, an eternity of consequences. For Ebony Rose, the newly appointed huntress for the Moriah Mountain tribe of Neverland, family is everything. Whether it be through helping her mother make and deliver medicine, trying her best to follow in her father and brother's footsteps as a warrior, or dreaming of a life of freedom as the first lost girl, she puts her heart into everything she does. But when a single arrow marked with pixie dust kills a member of the tribe, she is forced to lead the way down a path she never expected to exist. She must kill Peter Pan. With justice for her family, her position as a huntress, and the stability of Neverland's universe on the line, Ebony Rose must join forces, albeit reluctantly, with Captain Hook and his arrogant first mate Flint to journey into the darkness of Neverland and stop Peter before his new use for the island's magic threatens their very existence. But is it really that simple? Is there more to this mystery than she or the tribe know? And will she be able to find and fight for the truth before it's too late for any of their dreams to come true? So
Wow.
that's the thing on the back of it that explains the story. And then I'll read this small section from chapter 13. Okay, for context, this is after Ebony and Captain Hook's right hand pirate Flint have separated and they're both going in different directions. And she encounters a talking bear called Orion that helps her on her journey towards the Lost Boys' den called the Wand Oak. So, shall I read that now? Orion lifted a paw and pointed over my head to something behind me. As I turned, I found a dead oak tree standing crooked and bent over in the center of a clearing, its spindly arms stretching out to the clouds in relief and glory as the sun rained down over it. The wide trunk stood hollow. The wind whistled sharp and eerily through its cracks and crevices. The wand oak is real, I muttered. When Orion nodded, I asked, "Do the Lost Boys live here by any chance?" The brown bear nodded again. They too have been in search of a home, just like the tree. And just like the tree, they found it here. The notion was charming, but I still felt a slight frown lower on my forehead. But if they have a home now, why do they still call themselves the Lost Boys? Orion sighed a small smile as she said, "Sometimes, even when those who were once lost find a home, they can't help but keep searching for more. Why? They have everything they need here, don't they? Maybe they do, but remaining lost gives them something to live for. It's what keeps them alive. There's nothing wrong in being lost so long as you keep your eyes on a dream, no matter how big or small it may be. That way, no matter how far away it is, every moment towards it is an adventure, and the life lived in between remains full of wonder. So yeah.
Wow. From what you've said and what you've read, which for me, again, adds value to this series that we're running, the Women Empowerment Series. From the little you have said and what you've read, Ebony is a woman.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, in her time and in her village or tribe, usually men are the warriors,
Yeah.
or
Usually.
usually men are warriors.
Yeah,
But
there are a
here
few
is,
females.
sorry, ma'am.
There are a few female warriors, such as Tiger Lily. She's a very prominent warrior in the tribe, but most of them are men, including Ebony's older brother.
Okay. So here is Ebony finding suddenly she's in a position where she needs to defend her tribe and her people. In order to do that, she has to be empowered.
Mm,
There has to be a transformation. There has to be an elevation. There has to be a, a recognition of the fact that she is a warrior.
hmm
Not just that she's a woman, not just that she's a lady, not just that she's female, but she was a whole person in her right as a warrior, as a person. Yes, she's of the female gender, but that did not stop her from assuming, from receiving, from accepting the responsibility of defending her tribe. That empowerment must have come from somewhere. That
Yeah.
empowerment must it didn't just drop on her, but that sense of responsibility and the acceptance of that responsibility must
Mm.
have come from somewhere. Can you shed some light on that for us?
The whole book is that journey for Ebony. It's going from being someone who only looks at the small pictures to someone who has to consider the reality of her whole life and what it is now. At the beginning of the book, even after she like completes the challenge and is crowned as a huntress for the tribe, immediately after the chief pronounces her as a huntress, she doubts herself immediately because she's like, well, but what if I can't? That's her biggest fear, that what if I'm not good enough to do this? And because her older brother and her father have also been warriors, she feels like she has something to prove also, that she has to meet their standard. And if she doesn't, she's a complete failure. And the events of this book and everything she goes through are are pieces that allow that fear to be broken down and allow her to take charge of her life and to believe in her own strength and her own power. And that comes into play throughout the book, but towards the end of the story, um, it becomes the main reason why they're able to do what they need to do. And it's not just her that goes through that empowerment. It goes through her best friend Penelope. It goes through the pirate that she was assigned to work with on Captain Hook's orders. It goes through the whole island, really. And honestly, it's the core of her empowerment comes from her family, not just by blood. So, not just her older brother or her mother or her father, but also her extended family. So, that's everyone who lives on Neverland and everyone she encounters on her journey. All of them surrounding her and supporting her and encouraging her and correcting her when she needs to be corrected, allow her to realize that she has power as well. And power isn't just brute strength and physical ability, it's also the strength of your spirit, it's the strength of your heart, it's the strength of your mind. And so I think in that sense, her family, her friends, and also her faith, because her tribe does have a religion system it's not really religion, but it's like a faith
A
basis that
belief
the
system.
tribe is based on. And all of it plays into part in bringing her to go from a young girl with a dream of living forever on Neverland to a warrior who will do anything to protect the people she loves. So, yeah.
Now, um, like you said at the beginning, you are now in your final year at the university and you're studying business management. One of the things I have seen and I have heard is when, for instance, when a child, boy or girl, it doesn't matter, when a child is at the point of his or her life to choose a path that he or she believes this is my lane, this is my destiny, this is what I believe, this is what I would like, and this is what I was born to do or to be. It is not uncommon for parents whose responsibilities are to guide the child based on their exposure, based on their experiences, based on what they know, and all of that. But more often than not, you find a situation where sometimes where the child wants to go is a different direction from where the parents think the child should be going. For
Mm.
instance, in choosing what to study at the university, which university to go to, who to marry, where to
Mm.
live, which work to do. What's your take on that? The challenge of child and parent balancing or coming to a point of alignment with regards to the future life of that child, especially.
Okay, so I'll say this to start. I don't think it's entirely that the parents don't want their child to do what they want to do when it comes to that argument that would happen. I think the reason why many parents that I've witnessed try and quote unquote force their child to do something that the child may not want to do, but the parents believe they should do is because they want the best for them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I
Okay.
think the main thing that I want parents and their children to understand is that the way to let a child be who they were made to be is to let them speak their mind and for the parents to listen, but also for the children to listen to the parents because that break in communication is what causes so much division between the children saying, "Oh, the parents won't let me do what I want to do," and then the kids saying, um, the kids saying that the parents won't let them do what they want to do, and then the parents saying, "Oh, they want to do something that isn't that won't help them in the future per se." I think it's important that parents and children talk, but not just at each other, but with each other, and truly listen to what the child is saying. Because fair enough, they're younger than you, but they still have their own mind, they have their own soul, they have their own experience in life that is not yours. And you have to respect that and respect them as their own person, regardless of their age. Um, I think that there is, how can I say this? I think there is a balance that needs to be made, though, when it comes to chasing your dreams full hearted without regards for anything else and being practical about the reality of life. Because newsflash, life is not fair. And life does not care that you're passionate about your dream. There will be things that show up that knock you down and will knock you down. That's going to happen. I've faced that with my book. There have been so many times where I've been like, this isn't even going to go anywhere anyway. Why do I even bother doing this? But the constant encouragement and belief supported my spirit. And I think it's sad that many parents refuse to listen to their kids when it comes to what they were born to do, because, in all honesty, the parents do not know what It's like you don't know who your child is unless you let them be who they are. Do you get what I mean? So it's like if you don't let them express who they were born to be, they will never become that person that you want them to be. So like forcing them down a path where maybe the job will be lucrative, but the child has no passion for it, it's only going to cause more problems. But if you listen to them and acknowledge their dreams and their passions and what I believe God placed in each person for them to do with their life, there'll be a lot more happy families. Do you get what I mean? So I think the basis of it all comes down to communication and an ear to listen, because that's where dreams can truly just take off and soar. And I know that without my family being that open, this book would not be here. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. But then what do you say, for instance, to in a situation where, especially with all due respect, within the
Mm,
African community, where we have this stereotype mindset of you have to either be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer for you to
mm,
be successful in life.
mm,
And so what such parents tend to do is, irrespective of the child's natural inclination or pull or interest, it's like you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to study law, an accountant, and all of that. And in some instances, those children will go down out of maybe fear or respect for the parent, will go and do those courses
mm,
and graduate. But at the end of the day, their interest is not just, it's not there.
mm.
So in a situation like that, I know you talked about communication. What else can, for instance, what else can the child do?
I think the reason why African parents push those careers is because they have been proven to be some of the most lucrative careers in existence. And I understand that because the parents want their child to be secure and to have a future that's set out for them. And those jobs are very secure in their financial benefit, in their stability, so on and so forth. For the children, what I would say is if that does happen, but you do have a passion that is not of that, I I've said this before to some people who have come to me and talked about this. You have to show them proof that one, you're serious about this, and two, that you truly believe in who you are. Because if you don't show them proof, they're not going to take you seriously. So I think even I'm not saying that you should lie down and accept everything your parents tell you to do just because it's what they're forcing you to do per se. But if you have a passion, work on it. Put time into it, put effort into it, whether it be in your spare time or on the weekends or whenever you have the chance. Put little by little, work on making that dream less of a dream and more of a reality. Because even small pieces of a puzzle add up to make a whole picture. So take okay, so I'd say understand where your parents are coming from. They do want the best for you. Their methods may not be the healthiest or the most pleasing to you, but they're coming from a place where they want you to be as secure and stable as possible in your future. Secondly, don't take that as you can't do anything yourself, because at the end of the day you are your own person. You still have a choice to work on your dream if you want to. So I'd say even if it's only like a couple of minutes a day or a week or so, keep adding to that dream and keep like tending to that seed, because it will grow, and once the fruits show themselves they'll be like, okay, you can do it. So yeah.
Okay. I know you've talked a lot about your family in general, you've talked about your friends, you've talked about your teachers and all of that.
Mm.
because
Mm,
I know you have siblings. You have an older brother and a younger sister.
mm.
How would you describe your in not just your interaction, what role have they played in your life in becoming who you are and also on this particular project? I mean, your brother and your sister. Which of them is nagging you? I'll deal with them. But seriously,
Um, yeah, my brother and my sister are honest. I mean, if they see this, they're never gonna make me live this down. But they're honestly two of the most brilliant people I could ever have the privilege of knowing. My older brother, Aura, he's very ambitious and very forward thinking and very hardworking. And even from like back in primary school when we are in King's School and he'd be on the track team and his grades were awesome. I was like, I always had the mentality of like, oh, I want to be like him. Like even if I never said that, I mean he's gonna hear it now. But I've always been like,
newsflash.
here we go. Um, I've always had a mind of I want to be like that when it came to him. And silently I have been like trying to um like live up to that. So in regards to my book, Aura did inspire Ebony's older brother because their relationship is, I think anyway, similar to the relationship that me and Aura have. We play a lot. Sometimes we get into disputes that we settle eventually, but we are there for each other. And whether we say it out loud or not, I know that he's always there, and that I hope he knows that I'm always here. But yeah, he has always been that like target for me to be like, okay, I can do that too. And especially with like everything he's doing now with his visual effects business and his job and having graduated university earlier this year, I've had the mind of like, I want to do that too. So yeah, definitely in some form of speaking, I'm trying to follow in his footsteps and be as cool as he is. Um, Ade is my best friend. If we weren't born years apart, we'd be twins. We're connected on some psychic way that I don't know if I like yet, but she's just been there for me. You know, she's like my partner in crime. She's just so great, and
I'm wondering. So,
yeah, she's like whether it just be like us hanging out, like if I'm sure you remember like nights we'd stay up just talking for hours. You'd be like, go to sleep, and we'll be like, no, we're talking. So we just talk for hours, and if you leave us alone in a room, something's gonna happen, and it like when we're together, it's just like it just clicks, and because of that, and her constant like encouragement of me and what I want to do, and it's really inspired me, honestly. And now with everything she wants to do with her music and her going to uni next year, which I'm not happy about at all. Um,
uh, what do you mean?
I'm I want to be there for her like she has been for me, and I know I haven't thanked her enough for just being in my corner since day one, but I really want to. I am trying to encourage her as much as she has encouraged me, and just being in her corner, supporting what she wants to do, supporting her dreams, supporting who she is, and yeah. So, and her essence is definitely in the book as well in several different characters. So yeah, they've both played a big part in making me who I was through whether it be like Monopoly games that we used to play or Mario Kart tournaments or just like
Oh,
talking and
Korean
hanging out.
language learning.
Yeah. Um just just hanging out and being siblings, you know. I mean, they've been ups and downs, but we got through them and we got through them together. That's all that matters really. So yeah, they're cool. They're cool.
No, that's great. Now, in closing, I want us to revisit Ebony
Yeah.
because this whole series, as you know, is about talking about women empowerment. And I
Mm,
know I asked a question earlier on about how has Ebony's responsibility as the warrior of her clan, how does that work out in, or what is the role of that in empowering her?
mm,
There are young girls, ladies, women, old or young. There are female out there who feel who are feeling the pressure that you explained at the beginning, who are feeling only this or I'm only that, and I cannot do this or I cannot be that. And
mm,
yet there is so much on the inside of them that needs to come out.
mm.
There was a day when you woke up and a seed of this book was sown or was planted in your soul. And
Yeah.
today we are all living witnesses of the outcome of that seed
Mm,
blossoming. There are ladies, there are women, there are female out there that are saying, even right now during this program, that are saying, I wish I can just do that. I wish I can also write my own book, sing my own song, do my own dancing, travel, or do my own cooking, do my own drawing, and all of that, and on and on and on.
mm,
How can what I want you to encourage them. I want you to look straight in the camera and tell them that being female should not be seen or considered as a lesser person or a negative characteristics, but encourage people to, especially women, to come out of their shells and become all that they can be and they should be. Because for most people, it is that coming out of the shell that maybe for the first time they will find happiness and joy in life.
mm.
So
Okay.
please.
Um, Hi everyone. I want to start this by saying I am not perfect, nowhere near perfect. I still have my own struggles that I go through. This writing this book has been a journey of growth for me, but I'm still growing. Advice I would give is I think it's very important to surround yourself with people who believe in you and not, I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but not to take people's belittling comments of you as gospel because that's not who you are. That's their perception of you, but that's not the truth. The truth of who you are is found in your soul and also in who God says you are. So, things like for me, like I said before, without the people around me, be it my friends or the people or my family, this goodness, sorry, there's fireworks going on. I don't know if you can hear it.
Okay.
Um, Without the people around me believing in me and constantly pushing me to keep going and keep pushing, no matter how hard it got, this book would not be here. So whatever your dream is, whatever you want to do with your life, whatever you want to be, wherever you want to be, I would say sit down with yourself, determine exactly what it is that you could spend the rest of your life doing or the rest of your life being if there were no restrictions and just start. It's not like you have to like pray and wait for the right moment or like ask God to send you like a sign of lightning in the clouds or something. Every day you can start being who you are meant to be. And I think that's the most important thing. Um, Especially with this book and in terms of Ebony's journey, it's yes, she was thrust into this life that she wasn't entirely sure she was prepared for, but there's a moment where she is doubting herself and she's afraid and she's saying, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And she's panicked that she may not be able to be who her family and the world need her to be. But then I think, yeah, I remember it's towards the beginning. She's at a beach and something has gone wrong. And Tiger Lily, another warrior who's like really big and really successful in the tribe, is there with her. And also there's Flint, who's the pirate who was sent to join her on the mission. And she's saying, I'm not strong, I'm not brave, I can't do this, I'm not powerful enough to do this, I can't fight, I can't do any of this. And she says, I'm not the warrior you need me to be. And then Flint tells her, then become one. It's not a matter of um like you need some divine like gift to do anything. You have the power within you. You just have to start. So I'd say for anyone who's doubting what they're able to do because of their family or their friends or society or whatever, just start. Whether it be small, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Just start one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. Eventually, you will grow, you will continue to grow, you'll find out more about yourself. Then people who truly believe in you and who truly love you will come out and support you and encourage you, and that community will grow around you. And even if they don't, reach out to people, ask people who may be in the same position as you if they need a friend, and they that connection can grow from that. But just take it one day at a time, little by little, step by step, and eventually you'll get there.
I know you're very close to your mom, and rightly so. What strength would you say you've drawn from her, not just as your mother, but
Mm.
also as a woman?
I would say her resilience. Mum has always been very hardworking, very determined, very focused on a goal, and she will not stop until it's achieved. And growing up watching her work for what she believed in and what she was passionate about truly inspired me to do the same. Um, so that side of her really has impacted me, whether it be in my schoolwork or this book or the hundreds of other books I haven't written yet. That aspect of never giving up and just keep going and put all your effort into it. That side of her has truly influenced me and who I am. So thanks, Mum. So
You're
yeah.
welcome. So, show us the book again as we close. This is the book, Once Lost, Always.
Mm,
It's available both in Kindle format and in paperback format,
mhm.
and you can get it from Amazon.
Yeah.
Um, how many pages?
It's 519 pages.
519. How many words is that? Like 1 billion?
Uh, when I last checked, I think it was about 165,000,
165,000
give or
words.
take. Yeah.
Wow. I think
Yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
very proud. That's my daughter right there.
Mm.
So, once lost, always. The
Mm.
question then is, what's next?
Well, I
Apart
have,
from graduating from sorry, what's
yeah.
next?
Well, I do have many, many other novels and short story collections and huge books that I've planned out and are planning to begin writing soon. So, the new year, I should start work on a new project, hopefully. Um, After I graduate, it's still a little foggy, but my dream is to work in publishing, anything surrounding books and supporting other authors and helping their dreams come true as well, just because I know how important it is for an author to write a book and then have it in physical form and then to release it. It's one of the most amazing feelings in the world. So if I had a chance to work in that industry, I'd be over the moon. Um, so yeah, more writing, more learning, more growing, more struggles. You'll just keep going, I guess.
Wow. Well, Ife, thank you very much. We are so grateful for your time.
Thank
We're
you.
so grateful for your willingness to come and share with us, not just your time, but your knowledge, your experience, your journey. Um, I, for one, as the host of this platform, but more importantly, as a father, your father, to be specific, uh, I have been there from the very first day. And I've seen you go through and watch you grow up and become this wonderful, wonderful young lady that you are right now. And I couldn't be more proud of
Oh,
you and your siblings. Not because you're my daughter, but because everything you have said, I've been there to see some of them, if not most of them, and to see how you have handled yourself and carried yourself and behaved yourself and really roll with it. One of the things you have blessed me with, well, in in our journey together as father and daughter, was the day we were talking and you said that we're a, we always come through. For me, that wasn't just a casual statement. That strengthened me, that encouraged me, that gave me the impetus to go out again and try again and go for it again, because I have the confidence that you guys, your mom and the three of you, you believe in me, you're supporting me, you're giving me everything I need to do what I'm doing and become everything I have been and will still continue to be. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your time, your experience, and your knowledge with us. Um, we're waiting for when the book launch or the book signing and all of that. So keep us posted. And on behalf of everyone on this platform who have watched tonight or who will be watching this program later, I want to say thank you. We are honored to have you, Kamsa Nida. Yeah, I'm teaching you Korean now, so you
oh my
better.
goodness.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time. But please let this project, this book that has just been released, let it find a Christmas wrapping in your house. Buy it for that your niece, your cousin, your nephew, your sister, your grandmother, your grandfather, anybody, and buy it for yourself. Because there is a story in the book. There are lessons, life lessons to be learned. But more than that, let us encourage Ife and let her know that her effort is, is appreciated and it is supported, because that will encourage her to write the next one and write the next one. And the better she becomes, the more empowered she becomes, the better we all will be, because the Bible said God will lift us all up together. Thank you so much. If you have not shared this program tonight, please, 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 just send it as a message. Share it, put it on your timeline, and let's see it go viral, because there's so much package in today's program. Well, before we go, I just want to reiterate again that we have not finished with the Women Empowerment Series. In fact, I'm looking to run it till the end of the year, because there's so much that we can do. We're going to have another guest next week and the week after and the week after. There is so much to learn, to become, to grow into. in all of this series. And I can't wait for our next guest because I know it's going to be another knockout. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you again next week. Ife, bye bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.